Here we are. Rich Widmer, G Money, and yes, Chrissy Wong. She's silent over there until I give her an unbelievable formal introductory. But here it's Unbroken Talk. It is episode what, G? 5. And everybody knows I gotta give the initial intro what the hell this is all about. It's the Unbroken platform. There's many things under the Unbroken umbrella. Primarily the big hoo-ha is the OCB Unbroken Natural, which we got 3 shows, 2 left, which is basically 2 enormous events in Augusta and then Columbus, Georgia. I thought it was a Columbus, Ohio initially, but did you know, Chrissy, Columbus has in Georgia? Georgia has Columbus. Go fucking figure. Everything. I don't know. But anyway, October, November, and it's all about the Unbroken hero, which is dear to my heart. It is basically individuals sharing. Individuals. I could say anybody who wants to step up to the plate and share how that they got over bumps and bruises, which is life, right? I mean, this is really where I'm going to intro Chrissy to talk about. But it's, if anybody heard that, that is thunder. Holy praise to God, wow. Lord Almighty Jesus Christ is coming down. Chrissy, I'm telling you, I know that means you got a hell of a story. So this is right here.
Boom. That's the more perfect time.
I was brought up where men don't cry. I know she's going to make me. I know she's got something. That was crazy. With that said, he's telling me to shut up. So, yeah, it's about individuals coming on that feel the urge within to be able to inspire others. The Unbroken is within with what it means is to be able to go through life's hurdles. We all have them, whether they are emotional, physical is the obvious, right? And psychological, financially, you know, the list could go on. And it's a matter of going through life as a young adult, as an adult, as a senior, what have you, and be beaten down. But never, ever, 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 ever. And Chrissy, you know, when you're under that squat rack and Rich Gaspari says, keep going, you never, ever, 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 ever.
Hack squat. That's the one that I want to talk about.
You never quit. That is amen. And that's what it's all about. It is never quit. So Chrissy, I know Chrissy right over there, the lovely in the pink hot, whole beautiful ensemble, is a personal trainer I have had the pleasure of meeting probably a couple years from now. I know her as a personal trainer, but I know she has many, as we all do, obstacles that she overcome, and being a personal trainer, I'm sure it's linked to. So we asked her to come on and just give some inspirational wisdom of her own struggles, because as a personal trainer, we can all speak as the panel. I mean, in essence, especially the channel. I mean, this channel, I'm given the opportunity of a platform for individuals like Chrissy to come on to inspire or be inspired to others. But as personal trainers, it's really our job as recognizing as individuals want to be, hey, we want to be fucking better than before, right? We want to be better version than ourselves. So, you know, the start of greatness is doing things that you don't want to start. And as we are trainers or people of motivating, we want to help them. Well, the reverse is rolled, Chrissy, because you're in the spotlight. So we want you to share, like, what inspired you, how you started. You know what the platform deals with. You got the floor. Just share the words of wisdom, because you're going to have your listeners hear this and they're going to say, man, she did it. I can do it. I relate.
Okay, wait. Before she starts,
go,
Chrissy.
G Money.
Is it real? Is it true? How old are you?
I'll be 40 in October.
Oh,
No fucking way.
get
That
out.
no.
Wait a
No.
minute.
We're bringing it in.
No.
Wait,
When Rich
you
said
see-
that to
you
me,
single?
my jaw dropped to the floor.
I'm
I was like,
35.
no, he cannot be 40
Wait a
years
minute.
old.
Let me.
You guys, I
Wait.
appreciate it.
I'm gonna stretch out the wrinkles. I'm 35.
Don't worry, I got it right here.
I'm stretching out the wrinkles.
She's
There's no freaking way.
only 30s at best was my guess.
No,
my jaw
we both were. We said when she asked me, she goes, "How old is it?" I'm like, "You're not. I got underwear older than her. I'm telling you right now.
yeah,
There's no way, man. Yeah,
I love you guys. I love you.
Go
All
ahead.
right, the floor is all yours, babe.
Wherever you want to start, honey.
Okay. So I think there's layers to a person, right? And as you get to know a person, they'll peel back a layer at a time. So I'm usually very guarded about my marriage. But as I've gotten older, when I meet certain people and they're sharing with me organically what they're going through, I'll kind of let my guard down and I'll peel off that layer. But I met my ex-husband when I was 19 years old. I was in college and he was older than me. And I was a very naive, sheltered 19-year-old. I was commuting to college, still living at my parents, very wholesome, very pure. I'd never, lived on my own before. So when I met him, it was a really impressionable time for me. And it was really my first real kind of relationship.
Yeah, if you don't mind, if I could, yeah, and the reason why I know, and I don't want to stop the roll, but just our audience is listening, especially keying into you. So I'm and G knows this, very visual person. So I'm picturing you as this very petite, young, innocent person. How old is the individual? How old is he?
31.
So he was substantially older than you.
Yes, and my parents were not happy, of course.
Okay, all right. So that paint for me that paints a huge picture because that's a big
going on.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. That paint. Wow. Okay, go ahead.
And the irony of it is, I started going to the gym at New York Sports Club when I was 15 years old. That was the minimum age that a person could come in and work out on their own. So I met him at the gym. So we had that common link of working out and training together. So that was the one positive thing that kind of brought us together.
That was your connection.
The fitness was the connection. But looking back, there were clear red flags from the very beginning. Controlling behavior, sort of manipulation, guilt kind of tactics. An average 19-year-old is in a much different place than a more mature 31-year-old. We want to party. We want to drink with our friends. Yes, we're still going to study and get good grades, but our friends are really that. That's the core of what a 19-year-old, who they want to be around.
Great.
And even doing dinner on a Friday or Saturday night with mom and dad, that's not really happening so much anymore.
Yeah.
So very quickly, I'm wanting to do these things and he's kind of pulling me back. And it ended up being a very abusive relationship pretty quickly. And I really, looking back, I didn't realize how quickly I got sucked into it. It was physically abusive, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and really also really kind of financially, because I had a part-time job, but he had his own place. He was already established. So,
but this was why you were dating Chrissy?
Even when we were dating, yeah.
So you're describing at the the
The
attributes
infancy stage.
that the infant. So when,
The
how
honeymoon
long?
phase.
Yeah, when you were 19 when you met him, when did you get married?
We got engaged when I was 25. I
Okay.
got married at 26, and I was divorced at 27.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
boy.
So my
So
20s were very colored with a lot of trauma.
wow.
And in a lot of ways, looking back, I kind of lost my 20s because
Yeah.
I never had the chance to like do the average 20, 25-year-old things because I was being groomed to be in this long-term relationship and to be a wife and to do all the domestic stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the abuse became the core of the relationship. And, coming out of it and going to therapy, then I started to understand like the cycle of abuse. The love bombing. I'm so sorry this happened. It won't happen again. They're on their best behavior for 2 to 3 months, and then something triggers them, and then the whole thing starts all over.
So
So,
let me ask you if I may. So from just so I understand, and from what it sounds like, there was like years of building of abuse that you went through. So from 19 and I mean having, and I'm not going to date my age. No, everybody knows. I mean, you could be my oldest daughter, and direct young sister. But I mean, knowing at 19, your mind is still, you're still maturing. So
yes.
you met him, and he's what is almost
He swept
10
me off my
years,
feet.
12 years, swept you off your feet. So he groomed you on what he wanted in an individual. I mean, if I would say that. So you were caught up in that. Was it turmoil? Like, when did you see the point of starting to be where you had that defining moment on saying, man, this ain't right. This ain't right. When did you see that?
So the lead into that, because that's a really important, pivotal question that you're asking me. I appreciate you asking me that. Is cops got called to our condo twice. They came, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They saw the condo, they saw the scene, they saw me, they saw him. They arrested him twice. They nicely and compassionately put me in the back of their cop car. Each time they drove me to the police station. They had a trauma counselor talk to me. Of course, I'm all like scratched and mauled and bruised already. So they're
Holy
like trying to
shit.
just look at me and like
Yeah,
assess,
yeah, 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 yeah.
But each time, because victims of domestic violence, they want to protect not only the person that's abusing them, but the whole image. Like everything is fake. They got
Right,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah,
protect
yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
never finalized the first 2 restraining orders.
Mm.
So the lead in for the pivotal moment was the cops got called right after we had gotten married, about a month later.
Wait,
By
so
the neighbors.
he was physically abusing you before you even got married?
Yes, the
Holy shit!
insanity of it. Yes, I married him
Holy fuck! Did your mom and dad?
after.
Did you tell anybody know about that?
No, I
Whoa,
kept it
shit!
all inside. I
Did
was
he
like,
threaten you? Did he justify like that? Just so I mean to think like and the point so people relate because I know there's a happy ending because we see it and I always say this. I know the ending to the story and it's fantastic, but people that are in this like right now, like what can you share that you married somebody in a fit for you were so young, but married somebody that was physically abusing you. Was he like, hey, you're supposed to take this? Or did you feel like, hey, I deserve this? Like, what kept you there?
both.
It's so hard to get
Wow.
out of a
The
situation
verbal
like that.
abuse,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
verbal abuse.
The
You're
verbal and the
worthless.
mental, right? It's like a lot
Yes.
of mental.
Yeah, you're worthless. Who will you be without me? Like,
Right.
No
who would
shit.
you be
Yeah.
without me? Because I built you. That's what he
Yeah.
would say. I built you.
Holy fuck,
And
man.
now that I'm an adult and I look back, it's like, no, my parents built me.
Yeah.
My parents are the ones who nurtured me and guided me and like showered me with guidance and love all those years.
Yeah.
You were the one just, kind of breaking me down because you're
Break him
broken.
down.
You know.
Yeah. Wow.
But when
So
you're
yes,
in that
I
situation, it's so
knew.
hard to see that. When you're
I'm
in
sorry,
that
Patty?
situation, when you're in it, it's so hard to realize that
Yes,
until
because this becomes the new normal.
and normal. Yeah.
This was my normal.
Wow.
And the nervous system, there's actually science that shows people that are in abusive relationships, whether they're the abuser or the abused, their nervous systems are constantly going. You're always in fight or flight.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize how much anxiety I was carrying around because I'm always in fight or flight. And through therapy, I was able to work through and first identify that I'm always in fight or flight.
Yeah.
Through the therapy over the years, I've been able to identify it, manage it, and now I'm in control.
You get it. Yeah,
of
you get it.
myself. You know?
Yeah. So when you were being abused and in that controlling sense, got married, thought
Yes.
I'm assuming you thought that was kind of the normal.
I thought it was going to make it better.
Make it
like,
better.
I hear that all the time. If I
gonna
marry
make it
him,
better.
it'll be better. If
It'll
we have
better.
a kid,
Kids,
it'll be
yeah.
better.
And
It'll
you did.
change. Yeah.
So
And
and
it doesn't.
it continued. It
It did.
continued. It
It gets
continued.
worse, actually, right?
It
Well,
does.
It
The
does.
violence and the manipulation, it compounds. The
Yeah.
violence actually got worse.
Yep.
Where I was actually choked by him. He threw me on the bed
Holy
and
fuck.
choked me. And all I remember is I was just trying to scratch and then everything went white. And I'm telling you, God saved me because
Praise the
something
Lord,
told
man.
him to stop.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Because
Oh my
I
God.
saw white, and
Wow.
that was the third time that the cops came.
Third time.
And that time was pivotal because now the sheriff came. The sheriff for the town came,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll always remember him. Bob, he sat me down in the lobby couch, and he literally sat next to me, and I was just, I think I was so numb, and he said, "Listen, I can tell from how you appear, the quality of the home, how you speak, that you must have a good family." And I said to him, "I do, and my parents are alive and well. I have a sister." He said, "Listen, this is the third time we've had to come out here, and each time the bruising, now he choked you. We could come back next time and you could be dead.
Yeah.
And that
Holy
could be a
shit.
huge liability for the state. So you have two options, and they're going to sound scary, but you're going to pick one, and I'm going to tell you what's the best option." So I remember looking at him, and he goes, "I'm either going to drive you myself personally to your parents' house, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to tell them what's going on, because I'm pretty sure they don't know what's going on." And I said, "No, they don't." He said, "That's one option, or the second option is we're going to drive you to a battered woman shelter, and you'll probably have to stay there for a minimum of 60 to 90 days. And let me tell you, Christina, you will be very uncomfortable in a battered woman shelter because it is not like this." So he said, "You're not staying here tonight. We're not leaving. You here tonight. So I highly recommend that I drive you to your parents' house." And that's what he did. And he saved my life.
Thank God for him, man. Praise the Lord, man.
Him
Intervention.
to really just make a decision for me because I couldn't make the right decision for myself because I felt guilty and I felt embarrassed and I was ashamed. I didn't want to have to go to my parents and say, "This relationship is a failure. I'm a failure. I'm going to embarrass you because I'm going to embarrass you. And the whole family's going to find out. all my friends are gonna fight. Like, it was like, but really, when I look back, it's like it was more insane to stay than to just own it. But in the moment, it was so hard. It was so
Understood.
hard to do
So
that.
he basically intervention. He brought you to your parents,
Yes.
stayed with you, and I'm sure the reaction to your parents and family was totally the opposite of what you expected on why you bopped it.
Absolutely. My
Yeah,
mother gave me the biggest hug, and she
yeah,
said, "Okay, so I think my mother was speechless, and my father was like, what do you recommend that we do?" And he said, she needs to finalize this restraining order.
yeah,
She's never finalized the restraining order. And he said, and you really should be divorcing your husband. There's no
yeah.
way that a man would be able to choke, kick, punch, scratch, drag a person.
Fucking piece of
He's
shit.
going to need years of therapy, and there's no guarantees. So at that moment, I realized the severity of the situation. Like, it's just like, it never dawned on me that, like, this is really a problem.
Yeah, when you finally, I would assume, step outside of yourself and actually listened to how
It sounds
severe.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Like, the
on what
whole
it
thing is like,
was.
what were you thinking? Like,
Yeah,
how did you
yeah,
let it get to this point?
yeah, yeah.
But
But
as
that is so many abused and battered women. That's what they're dealing with right now. And to hear your story would be super helpful that, it is possible to get out of it. You don't
yes,
have to stay in it. There is hope for you outside of that relationship. Because I think that so many of us, myself included, was in very abusive relationships that, it just seems impossible to get out of. And what are you
absolutely.
going to do when you get out? Like, who are you going to be?
Yes.
They tear you down so much that you lose so much of yourself. So, yeah, hearing your story is just going to help so many
Hey,
people, so many women.
I'm listening. I mean, listen. I'm listening to you, and this is why I hold my head up high for this platform to hear powerful women like yourself. It is extremely brave of you. Here you are as a young married woman hiding all this severe punishment in every which way because you're feeling it's right, and probably there's some self obligation of it's my fault or whatever it may be, and here you are now sharing what had happened, and you're seeing, and now it's impactful. I think my biggest takeaway, so first I commend you're the spitting image of what an unbroken hero is. It's just being able to overcome, and you did not let it beat you. It took a while, and sometimes it does, but it's not. But my takeaway is, and gee, I know we had brief conversations about yours, but you said it multiple times, Chrissy, on being embarrassed, having your family be disappointed, being all like looking down upon. And I can clearly state, speaking for myself, that is probably the farthest thing from the truth, because you have a somebody from law enforcement. Yes, it's his job, but he went to actually go the long mile for you to say, hey man, it's got to stop. Let's go to your parents, and he made the decision for you. So the I think the big takeaway I will say is, don't be afraid to speak up to the ones you love and that you love you, and that's brothers, sisters, in your case your parents, because no one should be treated with any less respect than what they give, especially, and gee, it's old school from a man and woman. A man touching a woman, I mean, unless it's tender going to give a hug or a kiss, hell no. A punch or a choke, Chrissy, man, holy. So did this mother effer, did you put him behind bars? What was the how did it end on that with this mother effer?
I was a very compassionate person. My father went with me to family court. And I think that sharing like family court is important too, because I grew up in Essex County in New Jersey. So family court was in Newark. A lot of minorities, a lot of poverty. And when we went to family court, it was all battered women.
Oh.
And they all they couldn't afford daycare. So you have all these babies and young kids. And my father's sitting there and he's just trying to take it all in, because he's trying to understand. And like a lot of these women are talking to my father like he's a safe place. And they're like, I just can't leave him because I have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Look at my kids. And it was such a wake-up call, not just for me, but for my father, of how blessed we are.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of women, they feel like they really financially cannot afford to be on their own. They're not working. Their spouse or their boyfriend or their fiance is the breadwinner. And now they have all these kids. And it's like, how am I going to take care of my kids? And so in that moment, I felt gratitude. And I know this sounds so fucked up, but it was like, thank God I didn't get pregnant with this guy. Because
It doesn't
if I
sound
had a
fucked up
kid
at
with
all.
him,
No,
Yeah.
it does
Nope.
not
You know?
sound. Yeah, no.
Yeah, because that's how they keep you, and that's you would have
yes,
been in a worse situation
Yeah.
had
yes.
you had
Now
kids.
with an innocent child
Right.
in an abusive marriage, in an abusive home. And the thing is that they would tell my father, like, one young girl said he burned her with an iron.
Oh,
Oh my
fuck,
God.
man.
He
Yeah.
burned her with an iron while he forced their 4-year-old to watch. And
Yeah.
that is one story that stayed with me, and it literally like makes me want to throw up.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
And
man.
it's like being in family court like that, you really see like what really goes on.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that gave me the strength to be like, oh, no, like I can't. Like I cannot stay. And so when we went into the courtroom, I had a very nice judge, and he literally said, he ran through the like all the 3 prior incidences. He was recalling it. He was asking me to verify. And my ex really did himself in because he just can't help himself. When the judge asked him, your wife is she wants to leave you, he said she doesn't know what she wants. She thinks that she wants to leave me, but she doesn't even know what she wants. I guarantee if you ask her a week from now, she'll have a change of heart and she'll want to be with me. So then the judge realized it's this
Manipulation.
controlling
Yeah.
relationship where
Narcissist, man.
the husband is telling the wife, you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
I know what you want.
Right.
And so in that moment, he realized, okay, like there's something wrong. And so, of course, they always had to ask to confirm you want to finalize the restraining order. And I said yes. And they asked me, if there was anything else. And I said, listen, I don't want to destroy his life. I want him to go to therapy and get better. It's just we can't be together. So I need the protective order against him. I need that protective order to include my family, including my sister, because he would stalk my sister at college.
Oh my
He
goodness.
came to my parents' house, and this was before we had rape.
Wow.
My mother happened to look out the window, and he's slowly driving up the street. My sister's walking back from a college dorm party with a red Solo cup in her hand, drinking, and she sees him. So he
You're
had a
kidding
history
me.
of stalking too.
Wow.
So of course, they granted it to me, and then a month later, I mean, I didn't sleep for that whole month, but my parents were like, all right, let's get the ball rolling with hiring an attorney.
Divorce. Right.
Let's get the ball rolling with filing for divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole year was a blur. It's still kind of a blur for me, but having my parents and my younger sister to be like, you know, you really got to do this. And my mother just kept saying, I have faith. I know one day you're going to wake up, Chris, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
One day I woke up like a month and a half later, they said, and I was ready. I'm like, okay. And my father was like, I already researched a couple of attorneys that cover Essex County, so let's go see them.
So
And
what? So
I'm
when
very
you
lucky,
let me ask you and pinpoint you. So you woke up and you said, "It's time." Can you remember? Like, was it just being
I
worn
had to
down? What do you think?
I had to, in a sense, mourn the loss of the fantasy of the relationship.
Yeah,
And I
because you
had
were
to,
in this. I mean,
it was delusional.
yeah, because he's in the courtroom saying, and without the, and I'm not going to predict the future or what you would have done, but you had your support. Had you not had that support, you could have very well fell right back into the same
Yes.
shit again. Because this
I'm
guy
gonna be
had
honest with
fucking
you.
hooked you, man.
I actually stayed every year. I send a basket to that police precinct
Amen.
out of
Praise the Lord.
appreciation.
Yeah.
They were really good to me. And that sheriff has since retired because he was like 2 years from retiring. But
Right.
every year I send them a basket and they send me a card. And I have to say, I really don't think if Bob hadn't forced me in a way, I think the third time again, I would have been like, okay, like it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
So that job that they have is like rough and the raw and the dirty. And they didn't have to do that. You know, they didn't have to drive me to my parents. But for whatever reason, this man just had so much compassion.
He had to have a
And
daughter. He had to
and
have
he
kids.
did. He said
Yeah.
that.
He had to have a
I have a
daughter.
daughter who's
Yeah.
only 1 year older than you.
Yeah. I have to have a daughter, man. And, you saw it. So that, for you, it's the support, which is awesome. And then you finally had that, okay, it's time for divorce. You finally mourned.
Yes.
I'm probably, during the course of trying to get over it, and you can answer this or not, but was there a thought maybe to reach out to him, maybe to try to go back?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure
Absolutely.
you couldn't turn off, right, G? Couldn't turn off like this,
No.
right? Want to go
No.
back to it? It's
No.
like want to go
Absolutely.
back.
Because that's
Yeah,
all you know at that time, and
right.
your future, everything is just unknown, and it's a little scary, that thought. So you want to go back
That's
to
true.
what what you are used to. We've talked about that with the comfort, with the whatever. That's
Absolutely.
When you thought about going back, did you share that? Did you keep that within, or did you share that with mom or dad or?
I'm the kind of person where I keep everything in.
You kept it
and
in.
I'm learning that that's not really good.
Yeah.
But at that time, I just wanted to be in a cocoon. So I kept everything in. The only real person that I cried to was really my father. Because he was in it with me. Like he drove me to court. He was, I don't know. God bless my father, because he was like
Your
right
rock,
in it.
man. He
You
was
know
your
what I mean?
rock. It's like Bob. And I shared with G some, like men are men. Listen, it's not from a, narcissist type of way, but the sense of feeling safe and secure. Yes, your mom giving you, gee, this is perfect what we talked today. Woman giving, like in a relationship me and G talked about this, like from a mother and a father. The mother giving the nurturing, giving
Yeah.
that love, support, comfort, hug you, it'll be okay. And the father being, which I'm going to kind of describe on what you, or I'm going to share on what I heard. It's your father and Bob basically said, Chrissy, get behind you. We got you. Just follow me here.
Yes.
We're going to take you through the
Yes.
fucking war zone. And that's what they did. And that's why you felt it from your father. So that's fucking awesome. So you mourned. But what, and this is where, I mean, this is where the Unbroken comes into play. So you mourned. You were living with your parents back.
Yep, I moved back in with my parents.
So, and there was 3 months before you pulled the trigger for divorce?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went from the court, and 90 days you had so many different thoughts of wanting to pull the plug and just go back and he'll change, and that's the definition of insanity, going back to the same thing and nothing changes, it's the same. What made Chrissy Wong say, fuck that, man, I'm beating these feelings, I'm getting through it, I'm not going to call them, I'm not going back, I am pulling through? Because you dug deep, girl. You dug deep. It took you 90 days, but what kept you? What was going inside your head the entire time that kept you unbroken? That's the definition.
To be honest, and this makes me emotional, and I don't cry in public.
Wait a minute.
My sister, I have a younger sister. She's 5 years younger than me, and she is the best sister that anyone could have. And in a lot of ways, she became my older sister. It was like the roles flipped.
Return.
But I said to myself, like, I have to be a good example for my sister. Because if anyone ever put their hands on my sister, I don't know what I would do.
Fucking love it, man.
And
love it.
I pulled my shit together for my sister.
Amen, man.
I'm gonna give you the biggest hug next time I see you.
Unbelievable, man.
Hi, Chrissy.
You know what? This is where I love it, and I'm sorry to drag it out of you.
No,
but
it's okay.
This is the pivotal point, because I this is why I feel I need to do this, to give you the voice. I mean, we're hearing a story and it unfolds, but I'm saying, me, Jay, there's the important part, man. Like,
yep.
Chrissy, what something made you fucking pull through on it. And that's it.
Yeah.
Your sister, and that is outstanding. Bumps and bruises and all the above, but when you have that pivotal moment and then that form of inspiration, your pivotal moment was enough, get behind the two men, Bob, your father, and you were doing it.
Yeah,
but
because,
a pivotal moment.
My sister was only 21 years old at the time. So she was still so young.
And she saw what you went through. She saw what you went through.
In some ways, I kept a lot from her because I didn't want to rob her of her innocence. And I knew it would just really upset her. But after, when I was living at home with my parents,
right,
I came clean. I had raw, honest moments with her because I also wanted to tell her so that if she ever met or encountered a situation, she would think, my sister went through this.
Fuck yeah.
Let me try not to get sucked in or make the same kind of mistake,
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. That's absolutely. So, sister driving you filed the divorce. Dad helped you pick out an attorney. Did you put the gun, the pedal to the metal? How did this story end with this gentleman gone?
To be honest, that first year was still a blur, but I was always, for whatever reason, I was blessed because I was high functioning. I never missed a day of work, and work became my routine.
Right,
Mhm.
right, 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 right.
And I learned how to cope
Mm-hmm.
outside of work. So when I was at work, I was in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm constantly taking care of others. That
Awesome.
honestly was the best call for me
Right.
Mm.
because it was not about me and it
Yeah,
couldn't be
yeah,
about me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that was very therapeutic for me, was caring for others who were sick.
Nice.
And when I came home, honestly, I slept. And then eventually I got back to the gym and I was able to reestablish myself because, like Patty said, you hit the nail on the head when you said it's scary because you feel like you're losing your entire identity. I'm no longer so and so's girlfriend. I'm no longer so and so's fiance. I'm no longer Mrs. So and so. I'm no longer, running this household. Like, I had to figure out who I was at
Mhm.
28, and it was scary, but I had my job and I had fitness.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So I've got one final, most important question. We sit here now. Please tell us, who is Chrissy Wong today? Describe to us. Who is Chrissy Wong?
Well, I'm going to be 40 years old.
That's debatable.
When is your birthday?
That's debatable.
October 23rd.
That's
Okay.
debatable. That's a question mark, audience. We're not sure about that. We'll check that later on. Go
I'm
ahead.
kind of thinking she's lying. I think we need to see her like
Yeah,
ID
we'll
or
say.
something.
Okay.
I'll show you
So
my
you're
ID when
30 you're 30 something. Okay.
I want to see
Continue.
the
Next
front
time at the
counter when
gym,
he comes
okay?
through the door tomorrow.
Go ahead.
I've definitely weathered things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think for whatever reason, my mother always says you've still stayed true to like who you were before.
Mm-hmm.
I think in a lot of ways you'll never be the same as you were before, but I think a lot of those same qualities of who you were as a person stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm very compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just always been a part of my soul, which is why I went into healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I pivoted and went into being a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I love to help others. Like, if I can, I like to try to build people up because I know what it's like to be down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fundamentally to the core, that's
That's
just in
awesome.
my heart. I want to try to build people up because I know
What it feels
everyone
to be
gets
down.
broken down.
That's awesome. And I'll tell you what, that it's
amazing.
yeah, it's I could
It's
say
so hard. Can I just say
no,
something? It's
go
so
ahead.
hard. A lot of people lose their core values in that. They become bitter. They become angry and they can't get back to the person that they were. So for you to be able to keep all of that still and go on and live your life and do amazing things and continue to help people, kudos to you.
That
Because a lot
is
of people do lose all of that. They really do.
G Money, man, that was
Thank you,
like
Patty.
that was fantastic, man.
No,
Yeah,
it's
that was that was speaking, obviously, that
that's
was
from
well
the
said.
heart. Yep.
Yeah, that was well said. And when you say, you mentioned on, kind of taken away, I see like your past is what makes you in the future. And as Patty was said, you didn't go down the wrong rabbit hole. You stood up strong, you remained unbroken, and you are a better version of yourself than you were. You had great qualities when you were growing up and all the great intentions when you met an individual that swept you off your feet. Had that been that individual that had the similar qualities that was aligned with you, you would have been happily ever married and probably had a dozen whatnot, in your life. But unfortunately, you hooked up with an individual that went down the wrong path. But you're just a better version of yourself. And I'll echo, what Patty said, because you're right. And the whole point of being the spitting image of truly being an unbroken hero is you never subjected yourself to the brokenness and then just went into depression and continued that
and
self-pity and
doubt.
miserable, which I can,
You did
it's
not
in the
play
wrong direction.
stronger.
This has made you
Awesome.
stronger, and
Yeah.
with experience on what you experience, to be able to recognize others that are down, to inspire. Shit, Chrissy, it's second nature for you, honey. It makes you above and beyond to help others because you get it. It's like when we, teaching whatever we're teaching, we're like, as a parent, I'm like, although they don't always listen. They're always smarter than dad. They don't always listen, right? I mean, my youngest is 21, my oldest is 27. It's like
if your
that.
kids are listening, I'm going to say this.
Yeah, they're gonna
listen to your father.
Yeah, they'll go. You know what they always say? Dad, should I sit down?
To your father.
Dad, should I sit down? Is this another fucking speech or not? But my thing is, I already did it. Don't do that. This is what's going to happen to you. They got to find it out for themselves. But in your case, it's like, don't do it. Listen, for your sister. I'll tell you what, your sister, she ain't going to take fucking shit from nobody at all because she knows her big sister. Listen, it was an honor, Chrissy, to hear. I mean, it was like, wow. That's all I got to say is.
And just to give everybody a background, we see Chrissy at the gym almost every single day. But to go to this extent, it was a pleasure talking to you and hearing your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was unbelievable. So I'll put all the information and such to contact. Obviously, Chrissy represents her brand as East Coast Personal Training. Obviously, anybody that wants to, and I'm sure you are open, Chrissy, but this whole platform is to be able to, if anybody had issues and would like to DM you and ask you questions, I'm sure you're open to be able to talk about it, as well as any training or type of thing. She's open to help. That's what this platform is, to be able to create a movement, man. To be able to reunite, because we know.
Thank you so much for having me. I love
what you guys
are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. We love you, and we will see you.
Love you guys.
Right here, baby.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
See you tomorrow.